I really thought I was going to die. The doctors thought I was going to die. I could barely.
Elissa, how did you find Carnivore?
Hi, Dave. Well, I found Carnivore out of sheer desperation. I was having a lot of health problems at the time. Um, Doctors didn't really have many answers for me. And so, I kind of set out on a mission to heal myself without all these medications. I think I was on about 16 medications at one point, and they still didn't have any answers for me. So I said, you know what, I'm just getting worse. Let me try to see what I can do with food. And so I originally went down the whole plant based route. And while some things got better, like better blood sugar control and things like that, when I stopped eating all the processed foods and high sugar foods, there was a lot of new mystery symptoms popping up. Like I was having a lot of swelling in my legs and my joints, and just so much pain in my stomach. My stomach would blow up like I was 9 months pregnant. And it was so painful. It felt like it was just going to rip open at times. And so I kept trying, but over the months and several years, I realized there was like less and less foods that my body could handle without having these horrible reactions. So I ended up narrowing it down to I could probably only eat about five things, and most of them were plant based. So one day I just said, I'm tired of all this pain, and it seems like the only thing that I can eat without having all these reactions is meat. But see, what I had been taught was that meat was dangerous and it should be limited. And if you eat too much meat, it's going to clog your arteries and cause diabetes and heart attacks. So I was really scared, honestly. I was terrified, but I was just forced into that situation because it was the only thing I could eat without these reactions. So after a few days of only eating meat, I ended up Googling, can somebody live off of just meat? Because I was sure it was going to kill me. And I found a whole bunch of negative articles about why the carnivore diet is dangerous. And once I saw that name, the carnivore diet, it jogged my memory that my best friend told me her parents were doing the carnivore diet like several months prior. And I thought, at the time, it's going to kill them. They're already old. You have to tell them to stop it immediately. Um, but, I went down the rabbit hole of research. I started watching all the videos I could, reading articles. And, you know, one of the things, because it was really hard for me to believe Dr. Barry and Dr. Chafee, I really honestly thought they were getting paid and there was some like hidden agenda for sure. I'm just like, they can't be serious. There's no way they're serious. But when I went to the comments section, eh, there was just hundreds and hundreds of people talking about what they've healed, what they've cured, and how much better they're doing. And I'm like, there can't be that many people making this up. So I stumbled across, well, a lot of testimonials were like saying that they had lost a whole bunch of weight. And at the time, I was extremely underweight. I had been suffering for several years just with this trying to find what I could eat without so much pain. And there just wasn't many things. So I was very, very frail, very underweight, and I didn't want to lose any more weight. So I just kept searching until I found there was Rebecca Heichman, who she had started out very, very tiny, and she was able to gain healthy weight. There was Ribeye Rach, who also was able to heal and gain weight. And then there was Bella from Steak and Butter Gal, and she also had gained weight coming from a vegan diet and healing with carnivore. So I thought, okay, there's some other people who have been able to gain healthy weight. So I went ahead and just went all in. And I joined the community, the Steak and Butter Gang, because I was I was still scared. I was, and I saw that she had this community, and she, like, at the end of her videos, she would say, like, which guests are going to be in there for the month. And there was Dr. Chafee, Rebecca Heichman, and a few other experts. And I thought, this is my chance. I'm going to pay a few dollars a month, just maybe just this one month. I'll go in, I'll get to ask them my questions, they'll answer me. And, maybe I'll find my way how to navigate carnivore and not die from eating so much meat. So that's how I found carnivore. That's how I really got started, and I'm yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Wow. So how long has it been now?
It's been, I think, 14 months carnivore, and I think I've been about 9 or 10 months on the lion diet.
And in that time, what's happened? One of the things that stands out to me from your story is 16 meds. So I'm interested to know what the status of that is.
Okay, so I was on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications, several of them, for most of my adult life. I've suffered with anxiety and depression my entire life, but um, after just a few weeks of being on carnivore, I felt so much relief from the depression and the anxiety that I really felt like I could wean myself off. And see, I had already gone through periods where I would wean myself off and I would be off of the antidepressants for a few months. And the depression and the anxiety would be so bad that I would end up going back on for several years. And so it had just, I knew what I felt like when I needed it, and I knew what I felt like when I didn't. And for once I had gone back on, and it was like maybe a month into it, and once I started carnivore, I just felt like I don't feel that depression and anxiety gripping me constantly. So I weaned off over a few weeks, and I'm not feeling depressed at all now. Like, it's been over a year since I felt that. And the anxiety is so much better too. I still have a little bit of anxiety. It's probably just so deeply ingrained. But as far as letting the anxiety ruin my life and run my life, I don't deal with that terrible anxiety day to day. Um, I also am no longer type 2 diabetic. So I barely ever check my blood sugars anymore because I'm fine. And when I do, it's always in the normal range. But, prior to carnivore, it was like I was having to prick my finger so many times a day, and it was just this roller coaster. My blood sugar would be way too high, then way too low, and it's just gone. I'm even keel, normal blood sugars 24/7. Um, I have had terrible, like, degenerative disc disease and arthritis in my back for my entire life since I was a preteen. Really, I started having to go to physical therapy, and scoliosis, all kinds of back problems. And I promise you, I do not even deal with back pain at all anymore. Like, I can't even remember the last time that I thought, "Oh, my back hurts." Like, it's just gone completely. Um, and so I did find out, it was like maybe around the time that I started carnivore, a lot of my blood work came back, and it showed that I had lupus. And it was attacking my liver, all my major organs, really. My pancreas, spleen, kidneys, my heart. I was knocking on death's door, like, in and out of the hospital several times a month, sometimes several times a week. Sometimes I had a few like longer hospital stays where they were just running so many tests on me, trying to figure out what was wrong and why all my organs were failing me. But I have not had to go to the hospital in months now. I do believe, because of how much progress I've made, I believe that I'm going to be able to put lupus in complete remission. It's been a little over a year, and if you would have met me then, I was I was skin and bones. My stomach was blown up from all the ascites. That's just a lot of fluid in the stomach from your organs failing. And um, I really thought I was going to die. The doctors thought I was going to die. And I could barely, get up from bed just to go to the restroom. I had a hard time, doing simple tasks like opening a bottle of water to take a drink. My kids would have to help me with that. Um, when just to eat, I would have to sit on a stool in the kitchen and just, brown up some ground beef. And then I would freeze a bunch of that ground beef and then just, several times a day go warm up small portions of that and eat. Um, and now, today, like, I'm functioning almost like a normal, healthy person. I'm not on any medications. I I'm just not I haven't even really been to the doctor that much. I'm gonna go get some blood work done probably next week just to see where I'm at. But the last, I think it was maybe 2 months ago, my blood work was showing that my liver numbers were actually better than before my diagnosis. And so, I mean, there's still always a little bit, off, but my kidney numbers are great. I don't have any issues with my gallbladder, my pancreas, any of that anymore. Um, my heart is doing so much better. There was a lot of the things that they said on like the reading for my heart. I don't really know how to make sense of it. Um, but what they had seen previously, they're not seeing now. That's all I can say. So, um,
So
but
this
yeah.
is life-changing.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah.
And so regarding I mean, you mentioned you got kids and your kids were helping you open a bottle and whatever. So
Mhm.
what is your energy level like now in comparison to before? Like, are you able to spend more time with your kids, have more energy to be with them?
Yes, definitely. Like, we go on walks now. I can walk. I can go on walks now. I can walk through the grocery store now. I mean, for a while there, I was having to ride on one of those little electronic shopping carts because I just couldn't walk very far or stand. Um, and I at work we have this water dispenser that with the big old 5-gallon jug, and I was actually a few weeks ago able to lift that up to replace the brand new full water jug. So I just haven't attempted to lift anything heavy in so long that I was a little nervous, but I was like, well, let me just see if I can. Because again, it's like day to day, most days I'm feeling like a normal person. I can just do activities without thinking about it. I can lift up my purse and open my water bottles and cook, and I can go to several different grocery stores in a day if I need to and just take care of things around the house, stand up and cook.
It's awesome. Um, so how have you been eating to get to this point? Like, you mentioned you're doing Lion now. How often are you eating during the day?
So at this point, I'm actually eating most days three meals a day. Some days it's 4. It just kind of depends. Like some days I wake up and I'm starving, so I'll eat. And I typically wake up pretty early in the morning. So I'll eat, and on those days, it usually ends up being 4 meals. Um, just, as I get hungry, I eat. And occasionally, if especially if I am having kind of a flare up, a rough day, that's it ends up being more like 2 meals or three, or just three smaller meals. But typically, it's 3 meals a day.
How have your kids reacted to this when they see, you're feeling better, but you're not eating any of those fruit and vegetables that you've been telling us for years we should be eating?
Oh, I know. I've apologized to them many times. I no longer force my kids to eat vegetables at all. I do strongly encourage them to eat plenty of meat, though. But yeah, they kind of made fun of me at first. They were a little bit weirded out by it, but now they know. They know that that's what's brought me so much healing, and they know that I have to eat this way in order to be okay.
And have you had any feedback from people around you about it? Like
So
family,
I
friends?
Yeah, I've been kind of quiet about it. And also uh, I don't really have much family like in my life at this point. So I don't have to deal with a whole lot of that like most people have to deal with. But I know that I kind of keep it a secret typically until it really comes up. And so when it does come up, there's just a lot of questions. Like my coworkers, especially, they're like, wait, so you only eat meat? Like you never have anything else? And I'm like, nope, I haven't had a bite of anything except meat in over a year. And sometimes it's an opportunity to tell them that they should do it too. And but yeah, most of the time they're just like, oh, I couldn't do that. There's no way I could live without, sugar and all the things. But yeah, I I mostly just get a lot of questions in disbelief.
But you're pretty comfortable with that? I mean, I know a lot of people um, kind of feel very, very kind of nervous when people start saying, "Oh, I couldn't do that" or whatever. But for me, I've got to the point where I'm kind of almost wearing it like a badge of honor. It's like, yeah, I stand out like the crazy person. I don't care.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I've just been so secretive about it because I was so afraid of the reactions from people. Now, part of that though is because I've had um a lot of scrutiny because I have kids at home, and one of my daughters has had a lot of eating struggles herself. And so, we had her in programs and things like that. And it's just a lot of the doctors and the staff in those programs, they looked at me like I had done something to cause her eating struggles. And because I was so underweight, and I'm like, no, at the time I was desperately trying to gain weight. This was before carnivore, and you could ask my kids, how often does your mom eat? And they would tell you she's eating all the time. It was constant from sun up to sundown. At least every 2 hours, I would have to have a really good sized snack. Um, I mean, not only was it because I was diabetic and my blood sugars were everywhere, so if I went too long, my blood sugar would go too low, but I just felt like I was starving all the time. It was the worst feeling to be starving while just stuffing yourself with so much volume. Um, so I guess I kept it more a secret because of that too, because I sometimes I would kind of I'll ask a doctor or a dietitian, so have you ever heard of like keto or carnivore? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's a terrible idea. So after I kind of pick their brain a little bit and get a feel for where they're at, then I decide if I'm going to let it be known or not. But I guess that's why I've been more secretive about it.
Yeah. No, got it. It's often, yeah, it's a minefield when you start to mention it to doctors, and they're just like, "Yeah, oh, it's going to kill you. Saturated fat. Doesn't matter if you feel better. It's not good for you."
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So at this stage, it's lion diet all the way for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel so much better. And actually, I've been only eating lamb for months, just lamb. I realized that I'm sensitive to the histamines in beef, and so for the longest time, I was doing mostly just like beef and lamb, and occasionally I would have something else like elk or bison or deer. Um, but every time that I would just eat lamb, I felt so much better. And so sometimes I would just crave lamb for several days, and then I would have some beef, and I would kind of break out. I didn't mention before, but I also had slash have psoriasis. So when I eat beef, um, you'll notice I break out in psoriasis. It's all over my forehead, my neck, my chest. So I just, lamb is what I crave and lamb is what I feel best on. So I feel like it's probably been at least 5 or 6 months that I've only eaten lamb. And that's, like I said, 3 or 4 times a day. And I'm still, every time I eat it, it's like the most delicious thing I've ever eaten. So that's as far as I can see, that's how I'm gonna keep doing it until, like, if I start craving something else and I feel safe enough to give it a try, I do hope that maybe one day I can open it up a little bit because I miss bacon and eggs and chicken even. I miss all the carnivore foods, but at this point, I'm just gonna try to do some more healing before I try to add anything else back in.
Yeah, I can understand that feeling. You get to a point where everything feels like it's in balance, and it's like, okay, well, I'm enjoying what I'm eating. I could try these other things, but I just don't want to tip the balance back the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, how are you eating that lamb? Is that typically like lamb chops or ground lamb or?
Yeah, mostly the lamb chops, the lamb loin chops are like tiny T-bone steaks. Those are usually what I eat, but I also like the rack of lamb. And I recently found that there's a grocery store a little bit further away from me, but they have lamb sirloins, and it has a really nice like fat cap on there. It's so delicious, but it's just a little bit more expensive, so it's not an everyday food. And I do enjoy ground lamb also, but I notice there's a little bit higher histamine content in there too. So um, I don't eat it as often.
Wow. So, if a friend came to you and said, "I want to give this a try," Alyssa, you're looking so much better. You got so much more energy than before. I want some of that for me too. How would you recommend they get started?
Um, so if they were coming from a standard disgusting diet, I would say probably transition a little bit slower. Don't go cold turkey. I think a lot of people can have some pretty serious withdrawals from carbs and from all the other like chemicals that there is in all these like manufactured fake foods. So I would, and I mean sugar withdrawal is serious too. So I would just say week by week try to lower the amount of uh, processed foods that you're having, and every week cut it in half maybe, and then take the plunge and go full carnivore. And I would encourage people to just try having one carnivore meal and just see how you feel. Because sometimes you don't just want to go completely cold turkey, but you want to see what it's like to just eat meat. And I find that a lot of people in the online community that I'm in, when they do try it, they feel so much better, especially if they've been keeping in some sweeteners of some sort and kind of teetering on the edge of keto and and I'm like, just try to go one full day of just lion diet and see because some of these people they're having the severe pains that I was having, just arthritic pain and swelling. And so I'm like, just try it out. And I love it because these people come back with like rejoicing because they're just, oh my gosh, I'm not hurting. I woke up and I don't feel any pain. My swelling is gone. And it's like it's 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 the miracle drug, honestly.
And it's so hard for us as having grown up in the environment that we have with all the marketing messages and all the messaging from doctors and that kind of thing, it's so hard for us to believe that just changing the way we eat is like a switch where you can change over and your type 2 diabetes goes away, the joint pain goes away. All these problems just might not happen overnight, but it's literally like a switch, where you can be in one position today, and in a month's time, your life, it could be different.
100%. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, and I kept coffee in for the longest time. Probably most of that first year of carnivore, I was just drinking black coffee. And I had started out having like 3 cups a day for my entire, since I was like 16 years old. And I cut it down to just 1 cup a day. And then I slowly tried to go like half a cup a day, a third a cup a day, really weaned myself down. And for months, I was teetering between a third a cup and a half a cup. So it was just this very small amount. But when I actually quit coffee, I reached a whole new level of healing with everything. I felt like I finally started digesting my food better. No more like stomach aches after I ate. And I noticed that I started sleeping better. My overall levels of stress were lower. And my hair really, I had lost so much hair, but my hair really started growing in. I have like a whole bunch of new little baby hairs growing in all over. And also, once I quit coffee, my cycle came back, which I had lost for about 3 years. And so I feel like finally, maybe there was just that tiny little half a cup of coffee that I was having every day was just too much for my body at this point. And so, even though I thought it wasn't having any effect on me, I believe I was wrong. So,
That's such a big change. But yeah, I mean, I can understand because like coffee keeps you in this kind of, I don't know, fight or flight kind of state. And so, yeah, your stress is always kind of a little bit higher. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. So, Alyssa, how can people reach out to you? Do you have any social media or any way of getting in contact?
So, I probably should have had a prepared answer for this, but I am on Instagram at this point. Um, I will let you know what the Instagram handle is, and then maybe you could like put it in the description. I'm not super active on social media, so that's why. But I'm also in the Steak and Butter gang, which I had joined originally because I needed that help and support and answers from experts. But I've been in there for over a year now, and they've just become my family. Um, I I help out now. I kind of help with. We have this almost daily Zoom chat, just an open chat for everybody to come in and ask their questions and just share their journey. And it's so nice to be able to say like, oh, guess what happened to me today, and like sometimes it's things that only other carnivores would understand. Like nobody else is going to get that excited that they found beef half priced at the store. But so yeah, if anybody wants to come and join the Steak and Butter Gang, I'm in there all the time. But you can definitely reach out to me on Instagram. I really do love helping people. I know how scared and lost that I was at the beginning of this. And it's because I had people that were there to let me ask questions and let me vent. And they held my hand and like let me know, like, yeah, this is normal. And this is how to go about it. Just learning tips and tricks from one another. And so, if anybody needs a help, especially if it's related to any autoimmune stuff, which is because that can be extra scary if you have an autoimmune condition, because the rheumatologists are the main ones making everybody afraid of red meat. And here I am eating only red meat for over a year, and I'm alive and well and thriving. And I really do believe that I'm going to put lupus in remission.
Nice. So I'll link to your Instagram below. Elissa, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Dave, thank you so much. And really, thank you so much for everything you do for the community. You're changing so many lives. And if it weren't for you, like, I can't even imagine. There's thousands and thousands of people whose lives have been changed just from you having your channel and spreading the word. So thank you.